Good morning, and thank you for joining me this morning on Mark's Business Check-in. Today is the 23rd of January. It's dark outside. It's fairly breezy and it's still wet, but that's not the weather forecast. That's just me telling you what it's like outside. So I really appreciate you joining me. Last day of the week, a lot of people will be singing, dancing because it's Friday, and as we used to say, thank crunchy is Friday. Thanks so much for joining me. Just remind people, we are live on TikTok, we are live on Instagram, we are live on YouTube, and we are live on LinkedIn. And we're live every single weekday morning from 7:30 a.m. for about 15, 20 minutes. I just have someone saying hello from South Sudan. Good morning, welcome on board. This morning I want to talk about something that is important. And if you're based in Ireland, you've probably seen it a good bit, but you've probably seen it also in the UK, also in Paris, Milan, and Dubai, and elsewhere. What to charge your customers, and what happens when your business gets into a little bit of finance, sales start to go slow. Sales start to go slow, and you're wondering what to do now. Do you increase your prices? Do you charging customers more because your turnover has dropped? And that's a default for many companies and for many business owners. The first thing they will think of doing if sales start to drop is put up the prices. And it's not always the answer. It is not always the answer. Now, if you're in Ireland, you know the Irish Mail Service An Post announced at the beginning of January that they're putting the price of a stamp up to $1.85 because they're losing money. And their default all the time is to put up the price of the stamp. Now, really what their default should be, and if the management team were really clued in, what their default should be, that should actually be looking at the whole structure of the business now. Because they are right in saying that if a postman comes onto your road and whether he delivers to one house or all houses, the cost is the same of him reaching your road. So the cost for him, his fuel, the van, everything else is still the same. Still the same whether he reaches your road with one letter or 50 letters. So really that tells you what needs to be done on An Post is not to increase the cost of the letters. It's really to look at the cost structure and start making plans, maybe to only deliver 4 days a week. What will the cost savings be? I don't know. I'm not privy to those figures. But it seems to me that at the moment there's no real appetite to tackle the real underlying problem, which is they have less customers using the service. And if you have less customers using your service, you don't increase the price of your product. Because all that's happening then is less people will buy the product. So next year, you're in the same position again. And what do you do then? Put the price of stamp up to £2 or €2, which will happen. But we also have a government who is, I think, nearly 2 years into their term. They don't want to tackle redundancies and reorganisation of An Post. Because by the time it's agreed with the unions, they won't be far off a general election. So the government are the shareholders of An Post. So they don't want to tackle that. The management team is probably waiting for a change at the top because the people at the very top, the managing director and all that, they do not want to tackle the problem because in reality they're going to be gone within the next 2 or 3 years. So they don't want that. What they have left behind is a huge redundancies. Now what they're leaving behind is a huge loss. And the loss is getting bigger, and the number of people using the service is getting less and less. So if you're running a company, the answer for you most times is not to increase your price. Number one, you look at your offering. And An Post this and brought in Vintage into Ireland in order to get more revenue from people using Vintage and going to the post office, which was a good move, fantastic move, but it hasn't solved the problem. Because Vintage is not about people delivering mail all the time. It's also about people bringing it to the post office and using the post office service. It's a mixture of both. So if you are running a business and sales are dropping, the first thing you need to look at is what products are selling the least? What products are selling the least? And what products are costing you the most? And when I say costing you the most, I mean the most to buy and to hold in stock. Maybe there's a certain product that has a certain life shelf, so maybe that product out of date very, very quickly. Sorry, 7 a.m. in the morning, my head got lost there. So you need to look at your full structure. You need to look at what is happening within your business. And that is important. What is happening in your full business? And it's very hard to know what to do. But what I would do is I would look at my full cost structure. And we did this even during the pandemic when we had customers and an awful lot of customers were closing, an awful lot of customers were not using our service, an awful lot of customers just some of them went out of business. So we had to revise what our cost structure was like. So the first thing we did was we started not do deliveries every day. We had a van on the road. We decided, okay, we're not going to do deliveries every day. We're just not. So we reduced the days we do deliveries. And that was reducing our cost in fuel and our cost in van costs and also our cost in wages. That was the first thing we tackled. The second thing we tackled was pricing. We have to ask ourselves, are we too dear compared to our competitors? Is our pricing wrong? We can't do the knee-jerk reaction of because our sales are dropping, that we're going to put up a price. That is not the answer. That is definitely not the answer, that we put up a price. So is our pricing wrong? You need to look at your competitors and see what are your competitors charging for the same service you're giving or the same product. Now, unless you're in the unique position of carpenters, electricians and painters and plumbers, who because the demand on the services at the moment is so great, in a way they can name their price and they don't care what someone else is charging. They have their price, they're sticking by it. There's a shortage of tradespeople out there, so they can name the price, which is fantastic. But you could be in an industry where you have a lot of competitors and you cannot name your price. You cannot name your price. So you have to review your competitors. What are their price offering like against yours? If they're cheaper, what are they offering or what are they cut back on? That is different than yours. Are they offering a better service? Are they offering same-day delivery? Are they offering faster delivery? Are they offering special deals to customers? And the other thing you'd also have to be conscious of is, do you keep your present customers on the pricing they're on and only increase the pricing for your new customers? So any new customers you take on board, do you only charge them the new price and leave the older customers at an older price for a period of time? When I went to work a number of years ago for a hygiene company, one of the first things I did was I went in after the last MD sadly passed away, but the system he had was every single customer was charged a different price for the same product. So he charged every customer a different price depending on what he thought he could get away with. So if he thought he could get away with a dearer price for a customer, he would. And it meant that there were some variations. We used to bring hand towels and tile rolls into people. And some people, for a ream of tile rolls, may got charged 5 or 10 euros. Other people, like pharmaceutical companies, were getting charged 40 or 50 euros for that same product. Now, the person buying it for 5 or 10 euros a ream was paying 5 or 10 euros a ream. But that same ream was being sold to pharmaceutical companies for up to 40 euros a ream, and they were paying it without a problem. They thought it was a good deal. So did the smaller company think it was a good deal. The pharmaceutical company, if they rang us today, would get the product tomorrow. So they had a quick turnaround service. And some of them didn't have enough storage space. So they would order in smaller quantities, but a bigger margin. And then the other small companies who we charge maybe 10 euros a bale to, they could hold more stock. So we were only delivering to them to maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, so they would hold much more stock. So he would charge all his customers different prices for everything. It meant when I went in to help the company, it was a nightmare initially trying to figure out what customer was charged what price. I had to pull all the invoices out and go through every single customer, do an Excel spreadsheet, and put the prices of all the products. Now, he had over 150 products, but I just took the fastest moving products that we sold. I put them into an Excel spreadsheet per customer, and with a lot of customers, to see what he was charging them. And I was amazed what some companies would pay. And I was amazed what some companies were paying. And it showed you that certain customers will pay premium price, serious premium price. If you consider that the bale of toilet rolls we were delivering into somewhere for €10, we were buying for 5. So we were buying for 5, we're selling it for 10. We're buying for 5 and selling to the pharmaceutical company for 40 to 50 euros. So you can see the margin, depending on who your customer is, and depending on the level of service you're giving, can be massive and a huge difference. So if sales are dropping, you need to look at your price structure. You need to look at the products you have. Maybe the products you have now are too expensive, and that's why customers will stop using them. And maybe you need to revisit and talk to your suppliers. Like, can you do deals with your suppliers? Can you say to your supplier, right, if we buy X amount of you, we'd like 2 boxes free. The same way as Dunnes do. If you spend 50, we give you a €10 voucher. That way, you can either keep that saving for yourself or encourage customers who are using your product that if they buy 10 bottles of this, or 10 of this, or 10 of that, we will give you 2 free. Reducing their pricing, but helping you because you've got free stock off your supplier to help your price. But also with falling sales, as I said, you need to look at your cost structure. How much you're buying the product for? What is the margin on it? What is the cost you to deliver that product? How long is it taking you to collect the money for that product from the supplier? All those items are all issues that drive the cost and what is the real cost of you delivering that product. So before you put the price up and have a knee-jerk reaction, then in order to replace falling sales, like on PUS, that you simply put the price up. Because when you put the price up, you can alienate an awful lot of good customers. Customers who may be paying €40 a bale for a product that's only costing you 5. But if you start to alienate them, then the worst thing will happen. They'll start looking around for a better price. And then they may realize that you're very expensive and there is better players out there. So you have to make sure that if you're going to put the price up, that your legacy customers, the ones that have been with you the longest, you need to go and talk to them and explain to them that you may have to put the price up and explain to them why you have to put the price up. Maybe you have a product, maybe you're a butcher's, maybe the cost of beef and the cost of chicken and all that has gone up. We all know the cost of wages, the minimum wage has gone up. We all know in Ireland with the automatic enrolment for pension, that is costing businesses money. There's a lot of things that have gone up and are going in the wrong direction for businesses. But sometimes the answer is not to put the price up. Sometimes the answer is to cut back on the number of staff. And that's not an easy thing to do if you have people working for you a long time. Sometimes maybe you need to move premises to a cheaper premises. Maybe you need to re-look at who your electrical supplier is, who your internet supplier is, who your insurance supplier is. All your suppliers, maybe you have to re-look at them and see what are they charging you and what can you save by switching or doing deals with them to reduce what their cost is to you. And if that cost is significant, can you pass on that cost saving to your customers by leaving the price the same? Because just because sales are falling doesn't mean you're going to lose more money. Because if you at the same time reduce your overheads and work hard to reduce your overheads, then yes, your revenue will be down, but your profit could remain the same because you've now reduced your cost base. And a lot of people who are entrepreneurs and running their own business and leading from the top, and again, we see it from on PUS, they don't want to tackle a big issue. And the big issue is they need to reorganize, and that usually means staff have to go or staff wages have to be reduced. And that's a big issue for stakeholders like the Irish government to take on. That's a big issue for the managing director and the management team to take on, because in an organization where redundancies have never happened before and has never been there before, if you suddenly introduce redundancies to An Post, the unions are worried that we're going down a slippery road, that if it happens once, it will happen twice. And they are right. If it happens once, it will happen twice. It will happen 3 times. They've tried to reduce the number of post offices to reduce their cost base. So you as a business owner, you can't knee-jerk. You can't knee-jerk and just put prices up. And I've seen it happen. And I've seen businesses that are doing really well and businesses whose product is selling out the door. And I've been in meeting rooms and boardrooms where somebody will say, well, this product is flying out the door. We actually cannot keep it on the shelf. Maybe we could put the price up. So even with sales growing, somebody will be saying, let's put the price up. Because I think the customer will pay the extra 50 cents or €1 or €2. Let's put the price up. And they may do that, and it may work for a short period of time until another competitor comes out with the same product and it's cheaper price than you and blows your product out of the water. And we all know from looking at Ryanair's model that cheap prices can bring a lot of value if you have add-ons. So maybe if you don't deliver or don't charge for a delivery service, that your smaller customers, maybe you now want to add on, by not putting the prices up, but a small delivery charge to the price. You have big customers who are buying the big product, who are paying top dollar, and you're making big margin on. There's only one thing you can do with them, and that's look after them, and look after them really well. The people and the pharmaceutical companies and other companies who are paying those top dollar for their products, and even washing up liquid and bleach that we used to supply them, and brushes. Like a sweeping brush, we may sell for €4 to someone else that we buy for €1.50 or €2. We're selling it to them for 10 to €15. But they didn't question it because we're making so much money and we're delivering so fast. But I made a point of always visiting these companies at least once a week, of talking to them, of knowing who the boss is, of knowing who the buyer is. And we kept them very close to ourselves. So we knew what was happening within their organizations. Now, it also meant if they called us on Monday morning and they suddenly realized they're running slow or suddenly realized something has happened, they needed product off us quickly, we would move quickly to help them and supply that product. So they had a spill or they run out one of the products because they didn't realize it was going low. We would move quickly to replace that product and get it back in there. Or if they had a request for a new product, we would search the market and find this new product. Because the margin we got off them was so great, we looked after them. And you need to do the same. So don't fall into the trap where if your sales are dropping, that's the first thing you think of. The first thing is you need to increase your cost price or your selling price or your product price. You don't. There's a whole lot of other things you need to look at first before you even get to the stage of increasing your price. And then you need to decide how you're going to communicate that increase. Who does that increase apply to? What customers? Is it only new customers? Is it all the customers? If it is, how do you deliver that message? How do you explain to them that the cost of you buying that product has now go up? Maybe the raw materials of making that product, maybe the cost of delivery, maybe the cost of fuel, whatever has increased. And you've held back passing on that cost for a period of time, but now you have to. So when you increase your price, communications is so important with your customer. Communications is vital. It's vital you explain to your customers why you're doing that and why you have to do it. That's really important. Really, really important. Because if you communicate in the right way and explain to them and listen to their feedback, then more than likely that customer will stay with you on the new price that you're going to charge, and they'll work with you. But you have to listen to their feedback. Maybe they want to make a deal with you. Maybe they'll ask you, can you knock up by so much? Can you up by only a smaller bit? Remember, when you put their price up, yes, your sales will increase, but their cost base is going to increase. So as someone who's running a company, you need to be very conscious of what their cost base is and how much pressure you will put on their cost base because you're increasing your turnover. It's a full circle. Someone who's really a good manager or business owner, he or she will at all times be conscious of that any price increase that they charge to someone will have effect on someone else's overheads. And there is a point you will come to where a customer will say to you, we need to shop around. We need to see, are you as competitive as other products and other people supplying the same product? That's going to happen at some stage. But the relationship is very important. So don't knee jerk. Don't knee jerk. That's important. Because most times it's the wrong thing to do. Don't knee jerk. So just say to you folks, I'm on every morning, every weekday morning, not Saturday and Sunday, get my days off, every weekday morning at 7:30 a.m. We're always live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you've missed any of the shows, they're all on YouTube at Mind's Eye Education. We also have a whole load of free videos. So sales videos, marketing videos. There's a whole load of stuff there that you can actually look and download for free. And also, we have an awful lot of stuff about dyslexia, dyspraxia, all that type of stuff. We have an awful lot of videos up there about neurodiversity. So if you're dyslexic like me, or you have someone in the family who's dyslexic, and you want more information about dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADHD, we have a load of stuff up on Mind's Eye Education, at Mind's Eye Education as well, on mindseyeeducation.com. So if in your workforce, if you're trying to bring in your diversity, and you're trying to be make sure all staff are equal and you give them all equal opportunity to do well within your company, and you want to know how to, there's information on our website, mindseyeeducation.com. And as I said, there's a lot of free videos up there. There's a lot of free interviews with well-known business people and well-known entrepreneurs who have developed and sold businesses for a lot of money, and they talk about their struggle that when they were in business. So that's all again on YouTube at Mind's Eye Education. So make sure you hit the follow button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube. I'd really appreciate it, because at least that way, as we load more free videos and free interviews with people, that you will get access to them right away. So so hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. And on all the other channels, if you could hit the follow button, that'd be fantastic as well. So we're going off now, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. And just wish everybody a fantastic weekend. Have a great weekend. I hope today, Friday, goes really well for you. It's getting bright a bit earlier. You can just see there now, getting a bit brighter as we speak. It was up to a while ago, still very dark at this hour of the morning. So the spring is on its way, which is fantastic. Hopefully the rain will stop, because it's been raining for a lot of days. We don't need wellies. We need boats now. We need a boat to leave the house. It's been raining so much, so hopefully that's all going to stop, and we'll have a dry weekend. Anyway, well, not too dry. Anyway, have a great weekend. Talk to you all again Monday morning, 7:30 a.m. on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.